We had a very thorough meeting, and after our meeting, the Prime Minister had a very long talk on the telephone with King Fahd of Saudi Arabia. And the statement which has been put out from Number 10 now is as follows. The government will contribute forces to a multinational effort for the collective defense of the territory of Saudi Arabia and other threatened states in the area. The request came from the King of Saudi Arabia during the conversation, and he has accepted the general offer which the Prime Minister made in response to that request. President Saddam Hussein now knows that an attack on Saudi Arabia, were he to contemplate one, would not be an attack on Saudi Arabia alone.
Prime Minister, what did King Fahd have to say? Minister, any comment on the situation in the Gulf?
Any comment on what's happening in the Gulf, Minister? Foreign Secretary, have you got any comment on what's happening in the Gulf?
Afterwards, perhaps.
Thank you.
Chancellor, are you worried about inflation with oil prices going up?
Mr. King. What's happening in Saudi Arabia?
Prime Minister, will Saudi Arabia state crisis?
Minister.
Mr. Hurd.
About here, is that about right?
Can you tell us what's happening?
We had a very thorough meeting, and after our meeting, the Prime Minister had a very long talk on the telephone with King Fahd of Saudi Arabia. And the statement which has been put out from Number 10 now is as follows. The government will contribute forces to a multinational effort for the collective defense of the territory of Saudi Arabia and other threatened states in the area, and in support of the United Nations embargo. We're in urgent touch with the United States, our other allies, and our friends in the Gulf on the contribution which we can best make in response to a request. The request came from the King of Saudi Arabia during the conversation which I've just told you about, and he has accepted the general offer which the Prime Minister made in response to that request.
What kind of forces will be sending?
Well, I think it's certainly too early to be specific about that. That is what will now be discussed with our allies, with the Saudis, possibly with other Gulf states, but Secretary of State might like to add a word about what he's like.
Now we want to ensure the contribution we make is one that is effective, fits in well with the contribution being made by the United States, and complements what the Saudi government and the Saudi armed forces are capable of themselves.
And when might those forces arrive?
Well, that's a matter of what contribution, what form that takes, and that's all the matters that now are for urgent consideration.
Will those forces
we're
seem to
talking
be more
essentially-
than the Army Patrol?
We're talking essentially of naval forces and air forces, aren't we? But the exact details. will not be
Naval
worked out.
forces are already present, and others, as you know, 2 frigates are already moving up and will be there aggressively over the weekend. We're talking also perhaps contribution to the air defences and perhaps local air defence for our air defences as well.
What about the use of Cyprus as a kind of support base?
Well, I want to see what particular arrangement we make first. What will be the most effective way to meet them? We do need to talk to our allies now, talk obviously immediately and urgently with the Saudi government, following up, as the Foreign Secretary has said, the discussion, the conversation that the Prime Minister just had with King Fahd, following that up also with the United States, with whom we're in close contact, and taking it on.
Did the Americans ask for anything? Did the Americans ask you to join them? Or not?
The Prime Minister had a long talk with President Bush yesterday, and of course this announcement we're making today, the response we've made to the Saudi request, is wholly in line with the line which the United States itself has taken.
Have you had any news of troop movements on the Kuwaiti border?
There's no definite news today. There are certainly Iraqi troops close to the Saudi border, but they have not crossed.
Do you believe an invasion may be imminent?
There's no grounds for supposing that invasion is imminent, but the Saudis are taking precautions, and as you can see, the situation is developing quite fast. I think the essential point is that President Saddam Hussein now knows that an attack on Saudi Arabia, were he to contemplate one, would not be an attack on Saudi Arabia alone.
Is there any news of British citizens in Kuwait and in Baghdad?
Yes, there's a certain amount of news all the time. Our ambassador in Kuwait, as I've just had a telegram handed to me at the cabinet table, he's managed to arrange for the wives and dependents of the liaison team, the Ministry of Defence liaison team, to move from their encampment to a hotel in Kuwait, where I hope they will be safer and somewhat more comfortable. I am sending a message, I have sent a message this morning, to the Foreign Minister of Iraq, Mr. Tariq Aziz, recalling to him in very plain terms the responsibility which the Iraqi government has for the safety of British citizens, both in Iraq and in Kuwait, so long as Kuwait is under Iraqi military occupation. And we are taking various other steps, which I hope will emerge, diplomatic steps, with our friends and allies, to try and ensure that the safety and evacuation of as many of our citizens as from Saudi Arabia, from Kuwait and Iraq as we can.
Prime Minister, what did King Fahd have to say?